Chapter number 4. This is a chapter from your Footprints Without Feet, and its name is A Question of Trust. Now, before we start the story of this chapter, let me ask you one thing. How often it happens that we just trust the people? Like, we meet someone, we make the person friend, we do not even go and check the background of the person. Do you even go and check backgrounds of your friend? No, we don't. Because we are in a habit of trusting people very easily. That is maybe an emotion attached to human beings, that what human beings they generally do, they trust. Now, if you see the title of the chapter, that is A Question of Trust. So, this chapter is about a trust, obviously. And the question here is, should the protagonist have trust the person or not? Now, let's see the story of this chapter. Now, we see that there is a person who is 50 years old and whose name is Horace Danby. So Danby, who is 50 years old, he makes locks. So he has a profession and he's a locksmith. His profession is to make locks. But there's something very fishy about him. People think he's a good man and honest man. People think because he is actually having two faces. One face is where he is making locks, and he is actually showing to the world around him. He wanted to show people around him that he's a very honest and a very good man who just makes lock. But on the other side, he has something very fishy, and that is he used to rob. He used to commit one big robbery in a year where he used to earn a very good amount of money because he was having a very strange habit. So, and because of this habit, he has also been sent to prison for committing several robberies. So, he has gone to prison for committing such robberies, and he has spent some time in prison, and when he was just 15 years old. Now, see, he commits one robbery every year and buys rare and expensive books. So, this was actually his habit, or you can say uske shauk tha. So, the habit was that he was fond of buying rare and expensive books. So, that's why he was lot of fond. So, what he used to do, he used to rob, collect good amount of money, and then buy expensive books in the hand of someone, and very secretly. He would purchase books very secretly so that people won't come to know, because a locksmith is not earning a lot that a locksmith can afford very expensive books. So that's why he would plan one robbery every year, and that robbery would be huge. That could give him a lot of good amount of profit. So that's what a very strange type of life he was living. He himself was a thief, but not in front of the world. Now, this year also he planned to rob a place, that is Shotover Grange. Now, see, there was also one more thing. He was a very smart, intelligent, very witty thief. So, before committing any robbery, he would plan everything very well. All the minute details he would take care of, each and every minute details. So what he used to do, he used to collect all information about the house, family, servants, even the name of the dog. So before committing any robbery, he was in a habit of doing this, collecting all the information. All the little information he would collect about the house, about the family, about the servants. And he would even take care when the servants are leaving the house to purchase the grocery. And when the family members are not there, he would even know the name of the dog. Because see, there's one thing, whenever you're entering a house which has a dog in it, so if you know the name of the dog and you call the dog by its name, the dog becomes very friendly and he won't bark and would not jump at you. So that's why he would even know the name of the dog, so that he could make a friendly gesture to the dog, and dog won't come after him. So now what happens, he studies the house, the rooms, the wiring, the paths and gardens carefully. So we can see all the minute details he would actually go by before entering the house for the robbery. So he even studies the map, the architectural map of the house. He studies the house, the rooms, the wirings, so that whenever if there is any camera, he need to cut down the wires. So for that reason, he would even do that. He would study the path and gardens also very carefully. He would go by everything very carefully before committing the robbery. So he entered the house when two servants went out to movies. So he entered the house like everything was planned. He came to know that the owner of the house was not there, and so he was just waiting for the servants to go and move out of the house so that he could enter it. So as soon as the servants they went out for the movies, he entered the house. But he was caught red-handed by a young lady in red. So before I tell you what happened exactly, how he was caught, there's one more thing I wanted to tell you. So when he entered the house, everything he was well planned. There was a little mistake he did. He committed a little mistake, an error, which caused a huge blunder. The mistake was that he has collected all the information, including the servant, including the name of the dog. But the mistake he committed was he did not know who the owner was. He has not seen the owner of the house, the face of the owner of the house very clearly. So he wasn't aware whose house it was. And so as soon as he enters the house, he has studied everything gardens carefully. But there is something he went by. He suffered from hay fever. So hay fever is kind of allergy by the flowers. So he started sneezing because of this hay fever, and that's one of the biggest reason that he was caught red-handed by a young lady, a very beautiful young lady who was wearing a red dress. So he was caught red-handed by her. Now what happens, as soon as he sees the lady who was wearing a red dress, he misunderstood that she is the owner of the house. She is the woman of the house. Now lady played the role of the lady of the house in a very confident and convincing manner. So now the red lady who was actually in red dress, the name of the lady is not mentioned, it's just written the girl in the red dress. So when as soon as Danby saw her, he thought that she is the one, she is the owner of the house, and even the lady who was smart enough to portray herself as the owner of the house. She behaved very confidently in a very convincing manner and convinced him that she was actually the owner of the house. And the next thing she did was she threatened him to call the police. Now Danby, who has already been to prison, was very scared of the prison. He did not want to go back to the prison and live the harsh life again. So he literally begged the lady to please let him go, and he would not even commit any robbery in the near future again. So this is what Danby promised the lady. Now lady was very angry. She was very aggressive that how dare this man entered my house. So she was very stubborn that no, I'll call the police. And the reason why she came back home was just to take her jewels. Now this lady gave a reason that she came back home to take her jewels. And if she would not have been there, then maybe the robbery would have been committed very easily. So that's why she was stubborn that she would actually call the police. But somehow Danby was able to convince her again, and they decided that if Danby would open the safe for her, as her husband is out and she's not having the key and she forgot the numbers, so then only the red lady would be kind enough to let Danby go. Now Horace misunderstood her as the lady of the house and agrees to open the safe if she will let him go. So this is what exactly happened. The lady was smart enough to convince Horace, and that's how Horace let her go, and he did not even stop her from there. And he said that okay, fine, it's fine, if you will let me, I'll let you open the safe, but in return what you have to do, you have to let me go and you won't hand over me to the police. So that's what the deal which happened. Now the interesting part of the story comes now. Now what happened, Danby, who was stupid enough, though we see in the beginning of the chapter that he has planned his robbery in a very beautiful way, but he was stupid enough that he actually committed one more error. And that was that he opened the lock bare hands. So he was not wearing any gloves or anything. So he just opened the door, which obviously means that his handprints were on the locker, on the safe. And he gave all the jewels to the lady, and happily he leaves. Now what happens? He handed over jewels to the lady, and then he thinks, now it's fine, mera ho gaya hai, now I am all out of the scene and I do not have any relation with the scene over here, and he just happily leaves the place. Now if you see here, Now there's very something critical character of Danby. There is a huge change. If we see in the beginning and in the middle and the end of the character of Danby, we will see a huge change. Now Danby in the beginning was very intelligent, very witty kind of person. But if we see in the middle, he has committed some errors. And that's what everybody believes. If like all thief, they commit one error, and that is what police need to find out. Now, one error has cost him a lot. Now, see what happens. 3 days later, there's a police woman who enters his house and arrests him as they found his fingerprints at Shotover Grange. Now, what happens? Now, 3 days later, police officer, they came to Danby's house and said that they have found the fingerprints of his at the Shotover Grange. Now, why it has happened? Because he forgot to wear the gloves, and to his surprise, he realized that he had been fooled by a lady who herself was a thief. The lady in the red dress who pretended to be the woman of the house, or the lady of the house, was actually herself a thief, and he was actually fooled by that lady. That lady fooled him. That lady who was a thief and who pretended to be the owner of the house actually fooled Danby and took away all the jewels, and that's how the story ended. Now what happens, Danby here feels very angry when someone now, because of this particular scene, now Danby is having a hatred towards all the thieves. Whenever somebody talks about the honor among the thieves, or whenever somebody talks about the trust, Danby gets really angry, because he feels that what kind of trust it is when a person is actually cheating the other person. How come we talk about the trust?